I have the remnants of the Merry Christmas collection from Echo Park, and I'm going to use it up to do some Christmas in July projects. Hey guys, it's Beth. Welcome. I'm hoping to do Christmas in July for the last half of July. And I'm going to start with this collection that I started. I think I used most of it last year. I made an advent calendar book, and this is what I have left. It's the Merry Christmas collection from Echo Park, and I have like almost 2 full sheets of this pattern, ornaments on one side, trees on the other, full sheet of this, and 2 sheets of this. I had taken some of the cut apart sheets already, or at least one, and cut them down. These are 3x4, and then there were 2 pages of 2x2 cut aparts that had like countdown numbers, and that's what kind of made me think to do the countdown or the advent calendar book with this last year. I also have 2 sets of rub-ons that go with this collection, or that coordinate very well with this collection, and then I have most of the stickers. And I think I did something else with it last year. I don't remember what I would have done, but I know for sure that I made an advent calendar. So what I'm going to do to finish this off is I'm going to start off with another advent calendar, and it is a silhouette file. So I will be cutting the boxes on like with my silhouette. But then some of the pieces I do cut by hand, because it's a book essentially, and so I do cut the chipboard and the pieces that cover the chipboard. I could use my silhouette for that, but it's just as easy to do it by hand. So I will do that with you guys, and then I will do some assembly of the boxes with you just so you can see what it's like, and then maybe put the final book together with you guys. So that's my plan for starting what's left. And then I'm just going to take whatever's left after the advent calendar, and we will do some cards. I have mainly cut apart stickers and the rub-ons left. I think I only need, my plan is to use just regular colored cardstock for the boxes, because you don't really see much of them anyway. And then, these are going to be on the front of the boxes. So I think I'm just going to use these 2 sheets for my cover, which leaves me 3 full sheets of pattern paper to make some cards with. And then I do have a few pages left from the Dots and Stripes Christmas pack from Echo Park. I've been using this off and on for years, a piece here and there. And so I think what I may do is just kind of throw it in with this, and we can finish off all of this together with some cards. And hopefully that will help me use up stickers and the cut apart. Some of the stickers I might be able to use on the front of my advent calendar. We'll see, but a lot of the little stickers would have to go on some cards. So that is my plan for this. So let's get started. Okay, I have my pieces here for the book part of my advent calendar. Like I said, I used a file from my silhouette. It is by Lori Whitlock, and you can either purchase it through the Silhouette Design Studio, or you can also go directly to her website and purchase the SVG that you can use on any type of cutter. So I will link the file on her website in the description box below. And then I did not use her file to cut down the pieces that are going to cover the cover of my little book here. I have 2 pieces that are 9 1/4 by 10 1/2 inches, and it's just meant you overlap. We're going to overlap them a little bit, and then we're going to use that to cover the chipboard of the book. And again, the file, we'll cut these down for you, and we'll actually cut the corners for you and everything. But it was just easier for me to do that part myself. And then the chipboard, I didn't want to use my silhouette blade on chipboard, so I just cut these down by hand as well. It's two 8 by 6¼ inch pieces, and then the spine is 8 by 2½ inches. That is in the file. And then I also have the pieces that are going to cover the inside of my cover here. And I just chose to go with some green cardstock that's going to coordinate with the green in my trees there. But these are 7 3/4 by 6, and once I get the outer cover on the chipboard, then I will layer the inside cover pieces as well. So we will get started on that. I'm going to use, make sure that they're both upright. I'm going to use my wet glue here to overlap my pieces. And I'm just going to go on the outer part of the left-hand piece, and then I'm going to come on this piece and go on the outer part as well. So regardless of how far I overlap them, there are a couple streams of glue. I don't know that I'm going to overlap them a ton, but, and then I'm just going to use my bone folder to burnish that down really well from both sides. So the file actually called for using cardstock to make the cover, and then the file includes pieces similar to this to go on the outside, but I just chose to go ahead and use my pattern paper for the cover, just the whole cover. And then I will probably have to put something on the outside of the spine just to cover where my seam is. But so then when I put these down, I want to leave, it's just like if you're making a mini album, you want to leave like a little bit of a gap so that your cover can fold together. So for now, I am just going to use some ATG just to temporarily, like just to hold my chipboard pieces in place while I'm adhering, adding glue to my pattern paper. It just, because knowing me, things slide around, and so I just want to make sure that they will stay in place long enough so I don't add a lot, just strip. It's not meant to permanently adhere anything. I just want it to not move everywhere. Do a little on this last one. And Lori Whitlock also has a video. If you search, I will try and find it again, but if you search on her website, there's usually a video tutorial for some of the more, I guess, extensive files that she has. She's really good. If there's not a video tutorial, sometimes there's a blog post that explains how to put things together as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add tape to the outer part of my chipboard here. And I'm using the 1/4 inch score tape, or maybe 1/2 inch. It's between 1/4 and 1/2. 3/8. Guess that's what it would be. I feel like I'm crooked. I think it's just because things are shifting. Okay, now that I have my tape down and things are burnished, I really feel like I'm crooked. Gonna shift these just a wee bit. I like to kind of pre-fold my paper that goes around the cover just to help whenever I fold it over. Kind of help that line fold a little better. And that will also help me know where I need to miter my edges of my paper. But this truly is like you're making a mini album cover, or if you're making a cover for a legal notepad or something like that, these all kind of get made the same general way. Okay, so now that I've done that, I have my fold lines and I can see where I'm going to need to trim my corners. And I like to trim just a little bit on the just outside the square, just so that paper is not going to get bunched up. And like I said, the file actually does this for you if you don't want to have to take the time to do it. Last one here. And now for good measure, just because I am going to add some additional glue to the outside of my strip. And the reason I'm using score tape instead of wet glue, you can definitely use the wet glue. It is probably more economical, but for me, using the score tape gives me time to be able to put it down, because I like to kind of put it down in pieces. And so you have to work a little bit faster with the wet glue so that it doesn't start to dry a little bit and kind of leave if the glue dries a little bit too much before you put it down, it's harder to burnish that little lump out, if that makes sense. So for me, it's just easier to use score tape. So now that I have all of the tape on, now I can come in and get everything folded. So I'm gonna do one more fold here. And I like to start in the center and then go kind of pull up as I do the edges. And sometimes I still get a little bit of a bump there. So I know that I need to pull that tape out. In fact, I'm not even sure I pulled that first strip off. That's what happens when I'm worried about my next steps. But at least I've got the outer tape. Okay. I'm going to pull this off so that that gets put down. Now I made sure I got both strips off this time. And so that's what creates the little binder. So now that that's down, I think I will go ahead and do my inside pieces. And I'm going to go back to using my wet glue since I don't have to worry about quite so many things at one time. So that is our basic binder. And then the other things that the file cuts for you, you get a little grid to help you place the boxes that are cut. And then it gives you the little boxes and the lids. So they end up being about 1 inch deep by 1.5 inches square. And it cuts and scores the boxes for you, so all you have to do is fold them up and glue them together. That is super easy. And then you can you use the guide, hold it in place, and that helps you to line up your boxes without having to think too hard about it. So I have gone through and put all of my boxes together except one. And I was thinking that I had used these numbers last year on the Advent calendar, and if I did, I must have made the boxes bigger, because I knew the cut aparts were 2 by 2, but I was hoping I could kind of get the numbers out of it at least. And on some of them I could, like I did some where I was just able to use a circle punch to cut. There were some that I just had to fussy cut out just the number. This one I had fussy cut out the number like as 1. There were some cases where I had to fussy cut the number out in 2 pieces and overlap them so that they fit on the box. In some case I cut out the number and the image that was with it, so I got like 2 parts of the 2 by 2 cut aparts. And then there were some that I just couldn't make work as the number, like it just wasn't going to fit even if I cut them out, either because it had images that kind of went across it or something, I don't know. So I just used a scrap of paper on the top of the lid and then used vinyl to create the numbers. There was only like 8 that I had to do that on. Like I did like a dark green to go on the holly, and then I did 2 lids that had like a green cardstock that were scraps of this, and then I just did some white vinyl. So that helped me get the rest of the numbers that I needed. But I have one box that I have not put together, so I will put that together here with you real quick. And then I need to figure out what I want to decorate the cover of my binder with, or the book with, because I want to put that on before I put the boxes in. It's just easier. So see, it perforates everything for you if you use the electronic file. So I'm just going to add glue to 2 of the flaps and put that against the side of the box. Turn it and do the same thing. Really the hardest part I always forget that it's time consuming to put these together, or to put this whole advent calendar together, but it's not hard. Like, the hardest part was just figuring out my numbers, like how to make those 2x2 numbers work. It takes a while to cut out all the boxes, because like, I used 12 by 12 paper and still had to like run through 4.5 different sheets to get all of the boxes and all of the tops. So this is the top, and I just cut a 1.5-inch square piece of pattern paper, and then this is one of the green vinyl numbers that I cut. And I actually wanted to try and use a sticker on here as well. It's what's left over of a sticker that I used earlier. So I was trying to figure out if I put the number down low enough, can I include the Christmas lights anywhere? Maybe not. Just have to stick them in the middle. So to cut these additional, like the remaining numbers that I needed, I just found a font that gave me similar styled numbers to what the collection used. And use that for all of the numbers that I needed. So the box top is also perforated. Makes it super easy. And then you just put it together the same way. And if you, I mean, this is something that you could definitely do by hand if you wanted to cut and score everything. Or if you have a die that cuts boxes, you could always adjust the size of the book to fit the size of boxes that you can die cut. But the file definitely makes it much easier. Okay, so that's all it is, and then the little box fits together like that. And then the next step is just to start gluing them down. So I usually line my guide up here with the outer portion of my, oh, I said I wasn't going to put those down because I needed to decorate first. Glad I thought about that. Because I need to find something to put along the spine here, and I want to add some decoration to the front. And I also want to put some ribbon across so that it can be tied closed. So I will figure that out and we can finish decorating the cover. Okay, I have figured out what I'm going to do on the front. I'm just going to take one of the 3x4 cut aparts. This was a scrap of red cardstock that I had left, and use it and add some stickers on the front. I found a scrap. This is just the back side of the piece I used for the cover. I found a scrap. I just had to trim a little bit off to get to just shy of 2.5 by 8 inches, and that covers most of my spine but leaves a little bit of the white kind of around the border there. And then I contemplated what kind of ribbon tie I wanted to do. What I should have done is add it, like I was going to do 2 pieces here, but what I should have done was glue it down before I added the inside of my cover here. But I thought about putting it down and gluing the boxes on the top, but I didn't want the ribbon to pull off and then pop the boxes up. So I think I have decided that was the last of the red ribbon I had, but I have some of this red and white that I will put it across the top, and I can glue it here underneath my decoration here on the front, and I can adhere it here underneath my spine and then add a little bit of glue back here. I just don't want the glue to show through too much, and then it can still be tied, and that way it'll protect the boxes in the middle, not affect them at all. So first thing I need to do is add my ribbon to the outside of the cover. I'm just going to kind of find my center and put that in the center of the spine. And I think I'm going to use score tape just because I feel like wet glue doesn't always hold, or if I had Fabri-Tac, that might work, or even Aleene's wet glue might work. But right now I only have the Barely Arts or art glitter, and they don't hold like this slick ribbon very well. So I am just going to work with score tape. We'll add some there and a little bit the back side here. And of course now I've lost my center point. And I'm just going to add a little bit across the center there. It doesn't have to be exactly centered, I guess. And the nice thing about the score tape is you can't really see the tape underneath the ribbon, and it doesn't bubble like wet glue can sometimes, but I might add another little bit right here since you can't see it. There. So now it can be tied off to hold the book closed. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the cover on my spine. Go back to my Barely Art glue. I debated about whether or not to leave, like this was the size of the scrap that I found, and I started to trim it down and then decided to leave it to really help this part, the Oh What Fun, stand out. And it allows me some room that I can add some stickers. Like I have this tree, which matches the trees on the paper on the cover, and it fits perfectly down there without overlapping any of the words. I'm going to add something else at the top, but I think I'm trying to decide if I want to add this at the bottom or at the top, or I could even add it to the top there. I might add it across there. Do you ever feel like sometimes the things that feel most comfortable for you, like when you're working, look really awkward? Or the things, I guess, that work best for you, some of the techniques that work best for you look really awkward when you step back and look at them? Sometimes I feel like you guys think I do things like really awkwardly and really backwards, but nobody ever says that. It's just me thinking that's what y'all think. So we want to add some presents down here, use up some of these stickers. Okay, so I think that's good. And now I need to add the boxes on the inside. I'm not going to do all of this with you because it's tedious to watch, but I will kind of show you how I get started. And really, I'm just going to take the boxes off the lids because I can't lift my template up once if I put the lids on. And I am going to use a clothespin to clamp this down where I want it. And hopefully that holds. And then it's just a matter of adding glue to the bottom of the boxes and putting it into the little guide, making sure I'm not gluing onto the guide. Sometimes I'll lift it up just to make sure I'm not and then burnish it down in there. So I will go ahead and do the rest of these off camera and come back and show you, because I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side to put my 24 boxes on here. Okay, all of my boxes are on. The last step is I'm going to shimmy my little guide, my template up here. So that I can pull it off, and then I just have to put my lids on. This style has sold pretty quickly for me the few times I've sold it at our craft shows. And I believe I sold it for $20. And I've never had more than one at a time, because I tend to forget in between making these how they're not hard, it's just time intensive. And I don't feel like I'm going to get, it's not, I don't know how to word this, but I might be able to sell it for a little bit more than $20 as fast as it sells. So I might be able to go up to 25, but I'm not going to get a ton out of it for the amount of time it takes to put it together. Hopefully that made sense. But it does sell pretty quickly. So again, Lori Whitlock's file will be linked in the description box below. You can either purchase it off her website, or I will try to remember to also look up the file number from Silhouette Design Studio. If you do have a silhouette, you can find it that way. There is our box, and you can close it. And then tie it to keep it closed if you want. And then when it's full, it can also be left open, sitting out as well. So that is the first project that I'm doing to finish off the Merry Christmas collection. I will do a separate video where I finish off the rest of the paper with some cards. So hope you guys enjoyed, got some inspiration. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so very much for your time today, and hope you all have a crafty day.